Good morning, Gamecock fans. Today is Monday, June 16th, the year of our Lord 2025, and you are listening to Coffee. This is JC Shurburtt. Certainly happy that all of you have decided to tune in this morning. Had a nice day off Friday dealing with yard sale stuff. And Phil and I, the Mad Dog, will get into that on the show later today. Of course, the morning show is coming up at 10 with our normal Monday lineup with Mike Morgan and John Whittle on all things. Certainly lots of discussion there. No recruiting official visitors this weekend at South Carolina for football. Shoot your shot, right? Another Richmond area player is Darius Gray, five-star offensive lineman. He leads the list of official visitors this weekend. We're going to try to go through that. Right now, Darius is on a long journey of official visits. I've never really seen an official visits list like this. And he's kind of gone from school to school, and LSU was thought to be a team to beat. And I'm buying that LSU's in it. I'm buying that Tennessee's in it and other schools. But he's heading to Carolina, and Carolina's been right up there for a long time. Now, I can tell you this, in checking with folks, they still believe, South Carolina still believed as of late last week that they were in the driver's seat here. Now, could they be wrong? Absolutely. Anytime you take this many official visits and you're kind of open to everything, I mean, because if you visit somewhere, even if you've kind of had your mind made up, there's always that chance. And visiting a bunch of schools is not good for the favorite most of the time, unless there's like a heavy second team. And there really hadn't been, because all those schools know who to attack. And so it muddies the water quite a bit. And because those schools have nothing to lose. I mean, if you have nothing, if a kid is a heavy lean to a school, which I believe Darius Gray has been during the process, and you got 8 schools that know who they have to beat, they're going to run all, I mean, not all of them will go negative, so to speak, but it's a lot easier to kind of know, because all of this is mind reading anyway, and you're mind reading with 17, 18-year-old kids. And there's more than one approach. Different recruiters take different ways. These days, some schools go heavy on the financial end. Some schools are the traditional, they're not any good and we are, that kind of thing. Some schools just, some schools used to take this approach as well. They're just all sunshine and rainbows, and they don't say anything bad about anybody, and they just kind of leave them alone, like almost like you do a cat, not necessarily ignore it, but show it warmth and don't get freaked out if the cat doesn't want to hang with you today. I'm a dog person, so yeah, I have a dog. So, but we did there were cats when I was in college. My roommate had cats, and old Pepe and Sputnik, man. But anyway, so there's different approaches you take, and it's a guessing game in a lot of ways. I mean, I think college football coaches and recruiters and people like that, people that do what I do, if they had a degree in psychology, that would probably help them. And I know a couple of coaches that do have degrees in psychology, and it does help them because they're coaches. But Darius Gray, he's coming in. I have some confidence on this. If they lose him, I'll say that, I think people are going to take an outsized negative reaction for 2 reasons. The first reason is that they bled on him for a long time. And that's always tough pill to swallow. But that was something that you probably could have predicted, somewhat accurately if once you saw the official visit scheduled. That's A. B, he's a 5-star, and everybody likes 5 stars, right? And it'd be great if Shane Beamer and company, I mean, that would be their 3rd out-of-state 5-star prospect. You'd have 2 from DC and 1 from Virginia. So that would be a fantastic get. You always want those 5 stars and all that good stuff. And he's an outstanding offensive lineman. So there'll be more negative reaction than normal than there would be for most interior offensive linemen. I think from a perception standpoint and a 5-star, all the stuff that feeds into that, the mythical recruiting momentum thing. And recruiting momentum is a real thing. I say mythical because it's not tangible, right? The mythical national champion they used to call the AP poll. It's still a national championship. You still have a trophy, So, but that kind of thing there, it affects all that stuff. But as far as the interior of the offensive line goes at South Carolina, I think they're doing just fine. Would it be great to have Darius Gray? Absolutely, but 5-star, 3-star, 2-star, 1-star. It doesn't matter on the offensive line. You're getting in line. You're getting in the old developmental line. Some people are good enough to jump the line, like Josiah Thompson, but most of them, are right there in the mix. Oh, I'll tell you another person that maybe has jumped the evaluation line, development line, not evaluation. That's a different thing, JC. Is Shed Surratt. I'll just say it. Look out for that guy. He could start this year. And it not be like disappointing, like, oh my, we have to start a true freshman. I'm not predicting that necessarily, and don't chisel that onto my, onto my head here. A lot of room on that head, by the way. But Shed Surratt, yeah, they hit on him pretty big. I mean, that guy. And I tell you what, Colorado tried to flip him. I think if he was at Colorado, maybe I shouldn't say this, but as bad as their O-line situation was, we thought we had a bad looking at the Gamecocks. It was nothing compared to that. Trust me, I've been watching Isaiah Augustov's film. Those guys, hats off to Shadur Sanders and Pat Shermer and Travis Hunter and Isaiah and all those guys that played offense for them, because it was tough sledding. But I think Surratt would be starting at Colorado. Is he going to beat out Tree and Marquis and Trevon Ball? I mean, there's a lot of competition inside at South Carolina right now. And he's played some tackle too. So I love that guy. I think I would be, yeah. Well, I don't want to say that because you never know, because Tree redshirted last year. Ideally, you do want to redshirt your offensive lineman, but it wouldn't surprise me at all if he avoided a redshirt. So look, I mean, there's guys, there's dudes, and they're not all Surratt. They're not all Josiah Thompson. The freshmen before them were kind of forced into action. But so does not getting Darius Gray, does that stink? And could that affect the whole program? No, but it does, it does stink from that deal. But I as much as I mean, like I said, there's a lot of confidence there. So he's the 5-star. The next guy is another longtime Gamecock recruit, meaning they've spent a long time building a relationship with him. That's Samari Matthews. This is a big visit for South Carolina to kind of find out, NIL wise, what's true, what's not true, what the motivation is, how much is Miami, how much is Texas, but also to kind of bring him in and, just remind him why he liked South Carolina from the start. Torian Gray's been recruiting him for a long, long time. With the house settlement done or whatever, these 2026 kids, the money's going to be a little different, which is unfortunate and I don't know about this situation specifically, but some schools, right on up until the house settlement was settled, they said it wasn't going to be settled and they'd have plenty of money to pay whatever. So I'm wondering if that's true or not. So if that comes up, and I'm not saying specifically it does, but there's been rumors out there that, money is a factor. I like Samari Matthews a lot. There's some people that think he's a safety. I don't. I think he's a corner, because there was that narrative about Stephon Gilmore as well when he came out, and I almost bought it. And the reason is this, and that was, 16 years ago. But most of your guys that were built like Gilmore, and Samari Matthews is built like Stephon Gilmore, taller, leaner, musky, they look like safeties. And I've used the Eric Berry analogy a lot. Eric Berry was built like a corner. And so you kind of go on the eyeball test a lot with that. But look, it's not like little guys should be corners and bigger guys should be safeties. That's how it plays out sometimes. But I mean, the Honey Badger was how big, and he was one of the best college safeties I've ever seen in my life. Or was he a corner safety? I don't know. He was great. He was great. He hit people and he made plays. So maybe that's not the best analogy. I should have looked that up before I got on the air. I thought maybe he was a corner, Tyrone Matthew. I don't know. Nevertheless, little guys, big guys, whatever. And I think that's why some people are like safety. I think Samari's a big corner. I like him quite a bit at that spot. You never know, though. You just never know. A receiver is coming in from St. Augustine, Florida, right below Jacksonville. Samarion Wingo. He has offers from just about everybody. Carolina's been recruiting him. He's about 6'1", 6'2", a little bigger type of guy than maybe three of the six in this 2026 class that just came in. I think Carolina's just going to shoot their shot. Just like kind of Kamari Blair that visited for offensive tackle. If he gets there and loves it, he could do it. But there's like Oklahoma and some other schools involved with him. He's fast. I really like him. If they can get him, great. Get as many as you can. Flood the zone with receivers and speed. Mike Fury too. I mean, that guy, he has done quite well recruiting. And now look, and I'm going to say this because this is starting to come up where I guess there's kind of a divide. People are kind of getting on Marquell Blackwell a little bit, the running backs coach. And I think a lot of it's a holdover from the previous running backs coach. But anyway, you're starting to get into this thing where some guys at their position are doing quite well, and Mike Fury's definitely one of them. And I think that after James Coley left and everybody panicked, I think kind of like when Brian Van Gorder left back in the 2000s, Spurrier as this defensive coordinator, and they hired Ellis Johnson. It worked out better having Ellis Johnson, right? Well, kind of like back then, it's worked out better having Mike Fury. Not that Coley wouldn't have done what he would have done at South Carolina. I mean, the guy's a proven dude, but yeah, I think sometimes, and this kind of goes to what I always say. Sometimes, in fact, more frequently than people will admit, guys from lower levels that can coach, that know football, and it's not like Fury's was at Limestone, and thoughts and prayers to the alums of that school. It's closing. Limestone's closing. It's been around my whole life. And it's closing, but and the lives of others, nevertheless. So, he coached receivers for the Bears too. So, I mean, it's not like he is never been, at a high level of football as a coach, but his enthusiasm and ability to get the most and knowledge of the game to get the most out of Limestone in 2 stints there and win, that told me a lot coming in. And now he's embraced South Carolina. And he's an excellent recruiter. Enthusiasm is contagious, and he feels like he's got a really good group this year. And last year was a big challenge for him. I mean, sometimes things happen to coaches, and people don't think about it before they just run off. Oh, yeah, he needs to do better with his coaching. Well, I mean, last year guys were in and out of the lineup and I thought he pieced it together pretty good. There wasn't a game where I sat there, and part of it was because of the winning. Where I sat there and went, man, that receiving core is awful, and it just cost Carolina. Now, were there some plays out there where you wish you had Jeremiah Smith, Ryan Wade, name your guy? Yes. Were there days out there where whoever was hurt that week? Yes. But I kind of got it sidetracked right there with Mike Fury and all that. But he's really good. Nothing away from him. They'll take Mike Fury and Sterling Lucas, who's done really well recruiting as well. And isn't it funny? Neither one of those guys had ever recruited at the Power 4 level. And that backs up something else I've said. Some of these folks that have these big recruiting reps, they get to a place like South Carolina and it doesn't work like it used to, and it's frustrating and all that. A lot of times your better guys at recruiting, and it is hit or miss, are your guys that have either been in the NFL or been at a lower level, and they get in and they're not burnt out with it. They get in there, oh, this is pretty neat, and they get to work. Yeah, Dowell Loggins was a pretty good recruiter at Arkansas and South Carolina too, by the way. But yeah, so they did, and then they compare to like Travian Robertson and to Marquell Blackwell, right? And it's like, well, these guys aren't doing what these guys do, so therefore they suck. And what happened to Marquell Blackwell this past weekend caused some backlash on thebigspur.com and elsewhere. Oh, this guy can't recruit, whatever. And I don't think it's wise, if you want to be accurate about what you say about recruiting, I don't think it's wise every time a player picks another school to throw another log on that fire, because everybody loses players. The best recruiters in the country lose players. Alabama lost players when Saban was there. Um, it just happens. So Carson Baker, who was still on the visit list as of this showtime, but I'd be very surprised if he makes the official visit to South Carolina. Maybe he does. Commits to Florida. It was heading that direction for a while. Running back out of Atlanta. Florida's got some recruiting momentum right now. He shuts it down before he comes to Carolina. There was some talk Florida State had made a move. I guess not. And so, he's off the board. Now, speaking of Florida State, the Gamecocks are still working on Amari Thomas and Blackwell. And so it starts to come up, and I, oh, he's not a good recruiter. Well, he needs to do better. Well, first of all, running back is a little bit different of type of position, and he didn't get to South Carolina until when? Like January of 2024. He walks in the door, and it's Rocket Sanders, and it's Oscar Attaway, and it's Jawan Howell in the room. And they still had Braswell in the room, and Matthew Fuller was in the room. I mean, who's he supposed to recruit for that class? Nobody, right? For 2024. And so he goes through the season. I thought he was very good at the way the rotation was handled. Rocket and Attaway. I mean, he handled it pretty well. I always say, if you have Rocket, you need to play Rocket. And he did. Good job. And his guys got better. Running back, a lot is natural ability, but then there's nuance with, pass protection and learning the offense and all that good stuff. I thought he did a good job. So then the class of 2025, I mean, who's he in on? I mean, the Overton kid at Virginia Tech, I think was what a Virginia Tech smaller guy. Just not a lot of interest there. So, and they knew they're going to have to hit the portal again. And you have young players, Fuller and Howell. And, so they go hit the portal again. And, they did not get Justice Haynes, but they got Rasul Faison. And we'll see what happens with that. If there's any justice in the world, he'll be eligible. And then they got Augustov. So they're back to 5. This class, I think Carson Baker was the right call. They want somebody, Mike Shula, if you remember back in the day, they had, when they went to the Super Bowl with the Panthers, Stewart and Williams were very fast backs. He likes speed, running back. And they've got guys that can run, don't get me wrong, but like that CJ Spiller type guy, one cut and gone. And that's what Carson Baker was. So, you kind of look at it like that, and, that's Baker, that's Amari Thomas. And if you can't find that, then you go hit the portal for a fast guy. That's fine at running back. I mean, you perpetually keep it at 5. Now, what I think when you're judging his high school recruiting is this. When you get to this 2027 class, with Jalen McGill, who's going to North Carolina, who was at Broome, who's at Mountain View Christian in Spartanburg, I thought if they wanted Jalen McGill, that would be a good kind of high school recruiting litmus test. Well, he's kind of, he went to Rutgers. Oh, okay, North Carolina, that's fine. And that's another thing. Sometimes younger running backs, their stock actually drops and get worn down. Not as much as they do in the pros, but yeah. So, this nice class, you've got the kid from Woodruff, and you got the kid from Burns, Sagara, and there may be a kid at Spartanburg High School too. So 3 in Spartanburg County alone, at running back popping up, and then they're going to offer some more. I would just take a deep breath. As long as the room is not catastrophic, you can hit the portal for backs. I mean, they're out there. It's almost sometimes a better solution. And those count. Those players count in recruiting. You can't sit there and go, you can't recruit. And to be fair to the fans that are saying this, they're also adding it from high school out there, so that's good. So we're getting there, I guess, with that. And believe me, I've had to adjust as well. But I think after you look to this next cycle, which coaches as of Sunday were able to contact 2027 kids and stuff. Let's just let it play out a little bit. Um, Montario Hardesty, who was dismissed, who was by all accounts, not the strongest running backs coach here. His big problem was not only striking out with high school recruits and having hit the portal for guys and stuff, it's that everybody left too. Like Kevin Harris left early. Zaquandre White was out of eligibility, but he hightailed it for the bowl. Marshawn Lloyd left the program. Rashad Amos left the program. Eventually, Braswell would leave the program. And so his room was in perpetual flux. And then they had to go to battle in 2023 with three guys. So, to me, I just, and then, you find out later that, when Mike Shula was talking before the Citrus Bowl that, the running backs coach determines the running back rotation, and you start thinking about DeCarrion Joyner, and I love DeCarrion Joyner, but the bottom line is, because you don't really know from practice into the games, that extra weight he put on, getting in the position made him a little less elusive, and he was good in the red zone because it was kind of like he was playing quarterback again. But Mario Anderson should have been playing from the start. I mean, I don't know what planet. I mean, it was pretty clear. Carolina didn't run it, but like 6 times at Georgia in that game. Mario Anderson carried it once and carried half the Bulldog defense down the field. And they eventually did put him in, and he, with a terrible offensive line in front of him, rushed for almost 800 yards in the SEC. I mean, so those were the kinds of things. It was more than just striking out and recruiting as to why Montario Hardesty didn't work out, mainly having to do with his room. And here's the bottom line too. And here the same is applicable with Travian Robertson. And you just got to understand this. And to me, like I said, as a recruiting guy, it's hard too. Nobody's getting fired because they're striking out on high school recruits. Nobody. You can talk about, how much longer with the strike? You can talk about it. You can wish it. You can click your heels together and pray for it. It's not going to happen. Now, what does matter is what shape is the room in, right? Nobody's getting fired because they miss on high school recruits because you have the portal. Now, if you didn't have the portal, yeah, that's the one way you get guys, unless you're just exceptionally good at signing JUCO running backs. But it doesn't matter. Travian Robertson goes out and goes 0 for 8 with high school defensive tackles, but then gets 4 studs in the portal and has a great year. He puts guys in the NFL. He's not getting fired. Same with Marquell Blackwell. Now, if you want to evaluate it, I think you've got to give it time. Because think about this too, folks. These two coaches came in. Blackwell came in a little later when the portal stuff was already done at his position. Travian came in 6 months later. Now, these days, right now, they're starting on 2028. They have a 2027 list of offers a mile long, and today they're going to start talking to them. They're already building relationships. There's very few that are going to get offered in 2026. So it's not like it used to be. And so a new coach coming in, it may take a couple of years to make inroads and build the relationships needed to successfully recruit high school guys because they're getting offered so early. And this is not like a fiery defense of coaches. I'm just saying that, you can't get into this whole thing where, I mean, you can. It's a free country, and I'm not mad at you or anybody. And I'm not. I mean, heck, sometimes I have the initial reaction myself, but every time a player that a position, goes elsewhere, we can't say terrible recruiter. And then every time a player at a position does commit, we can't sit there and say I was wrong. It's the ebb and flow of recruiting. But Carson Baker is still on the list, and I don't know. I doubt he's in. Just I would go ahead and I'm crossing him off my internal list, and we'll not talk about him again unless he visits. Going on down the visit list, so we've talked about Darius Gray, Samari Matthews, Samorian Wingo. Tamarion Watkins is in. Rock Hill Northwestern safety, big defensive guy. I've told you before, I think, to me, he would be the most disappointing to lose. Absolutely love this kid. I've told you before, people as well. People have told me they think he's the top prospect in the state. He's rated too low. I'll just tell you right now by 24/7 Sports. I have no idea why this kid is an 89. With all the, you look at the offers, take the offers away. I don't care if he had South Carolina and Limestone, which just closed its doors. This kid's good. He's a four-star prospect if I've ever seen one. I don't get it. But, crystal balls are in for South Carolina. You got Georgia, you got Texas A&M, Miami lurking there. Boy, this one would be tough to not hold on to, and especially with a lead. But I think maybe yours truly is a little more concerned about possibly losing him just because, these are critical, in my mind, to me, in my opinion, this is kind of what, gets me excited. I guess in-state freaky guys, I like all the in-state guys, but, and from Northwestern and Rock Hill, it's an important place and all that. So, we'll see what happens because not the people not named J.C. Shurburtt aren't worried about it at all. Internally, they're always going to worry, but other media people aren't worried about it. So we'll see what happens. Desmond Green, this one's going back and forth behind the scenes. We'll see if he takes the visit. I'm not, I've downgraded my opinion of him from could be 50-50 to I don't know. And I don't know, we'll kind of do a rehash of his recruitment after it's over because it's interesting. Trey Aiken is another. I don't know. I still haven't got an answer as to why there's an NC State crystal ball in for him. He's the offensive lineman from from Clinton. His last name's Aiken, but he's from Clinton. JC, don't get your South Carolina towns messed up there. Really good player. Gamecocks have been in good shape for him. Why is there some confidence on NC State's part? It could be NIL. Could be, because some schools may offer a little bit more to beat the home. I mean, this is another thing we all have to get used to. And again, at offensive line, you get in the line of development. You can always go to NC State, and if, things don't work out and you're good enough to come back, that's the key there. Maybe you can, but, I don't know. Will he be a part of the class? I would say still 50-50 right now. But his official visit is currently scheduled for this weekend. Tilden Riley from Orangeburg Prep, a tight end, kind of slot tight end guy. They throw him the ball out there. Alex Jones went to see him play baseball. Really good athlete, probably coming from Skeeza, be a developmental guy. But I like kind of how he, he's the type of tight end. Carolina had a lot of, he's probably more like Nick Muse among the recent ones. Maybe not. But Nick Muse, kind of that taller, lanky, can run like a wide receiver type of guy. But we'll see. We'll see with him. Jazavian Currents is also in, top-rated player in the state from South Point, like Watkins, a big freaky type of defensive back. So you kind of look at it and, Gray, Matthews, Watkins, Those are big, big, big recruits to go along with the big, big, big ones that are out there. I know Landon Duckworth was at Auburn this weekend, and there's some chatter there about Auburn. So we'll see sort of what happens. Maybe I don't like that term chicken little. The sky is falling. But the people that were concerned about it, about him visiting Auburn, I mean, I told them on the Big Spur, I was like, you have a right to be concerned. I mean, I personally, there's, yeah, I can just go off what I'm told and what everybody else is told, right? That the Carolina's getting him, but Auburn certainly has its way sometimes with in-state guys. So I'm kind of in a wait and see kind of mode on that one. We'll see how all that transpires as we move forward, but certainly isn't a welcome development that he was on campus at Auburn and all that good stuff. So we will see. We will see. I think now that one would be tough. That's your quarterback in the class. It looked like you were getting him. And then, but at the same time, like I said before, if you're going up the highway to get to South Carolina from Jackson, Alabama, you go right by both Auburn exits. There's a Buc-ee's there too. Well, as we found out on social media, Auburn's the closest school to Buc-ee's because they have a Buc-ee's in Auburn. So we'll see what happens with that one. But big, huge recruiting weekend this weekend. Reminder, Wing Off 3. The third annual Wing Off on Saturday from 4 to 8 p.m. at CB 18 Bar and Grill in 5 Points. I'll be there with my wife. I'm heading down. No coffee on Thursday or Friday, barring major breaking news. No show Thursday or Friday, barring major breaking news. Gonna just take that. And then the following Monday, maybe a coffee, maybe not. But we'll see. We'll see what happens as we make our way back from down there. See if I can get home or pop it in from the hotel because that will be off the official visit weekend. So we'll see sort of what happens with all that for Monday. But definitely it's a no-go Thursday morning and it's a no-go Friday morning as well. And then hope to see all of you at the Wing Off. It's a free event. You're invited. CB 18 Bar and Grill Saturday from 4 to 8 p.m. in the capital city, 5 Points District, right on the corner, Old Dr. Rocco's, corner of Hardin and Green. I can describe how to get there 6 different ways. So, used to be stumble across from my condo when I was in college, but nevertheless, going to have a big time. Really looking for Ashley Chastain Woodard is going to be out there, other coaches, some football players. I think John Strickland is going to be there along with myself. You know him. It's a well-attended event. Jeff does a tremendous job. Also, go follow Cocky Hospitality. They're a part of this as well. Looking forward to meeting Ryan and those folks. It's really good folks. And it does me really some good to get back and mingle amongst the Gamecocks, if you will. So everyone have a wonderful Monday. We'll be back with Inside the Gamecocks show later today. Phil and I will take questions from the Nana Sports chat box and talk about recruiting and the weekend and review the yard sale. If you want to on this YouTube channel, go look at the segment from the morning show about the yard sale. You'll laugh at my expense, but I laughed at my expense, so that's fine. All right, JC Shurburtt, coffee. I'm out. Holla at you soon.